Welcome to Angel's Table. Today joining me are the usual suspects, Rachel Pleasant, sorry, couldn't resist, Denise Graham, and Parker Matheson. Oh, sorry, I had to, Anyway, today we are going to discuss anger in social media. And as I say this, everyone says, what exactly do you mean? What are we really talking about? I don't think I have anything to say. And I really feel like once we get the conversation started, everybody's going to have something to say about it. But for me, being on Facebook way too much, and now Twitter too much, although I don't see it as much in Twitter as I do on Facebook, and maybe it's because...
Wait for it.
Wait for it? Okay.
I was saying, who are you friends with on Facebook?
A lot of people I really like, so sometimes it's a little bit surprising when these conversations come up and you're like, whoa, geez. But there's just, obviously there are some high-intensity conversations like gun, abortion, those sort of things. And not that I want to get into those discussions about those things, but how angry people get and how angry to the point where they won't listen to what you're saying. They're not even sort of going to listen to the other side of the conversation. So maybe it's gun control, maybe it's abortion, maybe it's that everybody's wearing yellow today and everybody hates yellow, and then they just sort of lay out all this anger and this, attack people in a way that it's condescending, it's passive aggressive. It's almost like they're regurgitating all the anger from their whole life and throwing it out there on Facebook. And sometimes it's like, wow, all I said was, and it's something simple, and the next thing you know, there's like all these people having these conversations, and you're just like, I didn't mean to start something.
Well, the problem was that you were wrong.
Something.
That was your first
Let's just set things right here. I'm always wrong. Always wrong, and I know that, but thanks to my darling son. He sets me straight on a daily basis. You're just wrong, Mom.
Yeah.
I think we come from a society, though, where if you have any type of emotion, super positive or super negative, you just have to share it with the world. Like, it's just word vomit that happens digitally now, where anything goes, and because you're hiding behind a computer, then it's fine. It doesn't count as mean because no one can come back at you physically, I guess.
Shut up.
So, see, like that, you can't do that. It doesn't have the same effect online.
Yeah.
But when he says it to me now, I have the instant, need to just, hate
punch
or
me in the
something.
face.
You want me to do it for him?
Yeah. So, it's interesting what you see on Facebook compared to people's temperaments in real life. So,
were you going to say something?
I was going to say that I see it not as much on Facebook only because I filtered out the people that are super obnoxious.
You're smarter than I am.
And especially people that attack other people when they disagree. You can have a difference of opinion without attacking somebody.
Yeah.
Although sometimes you really want to, they say something that's just so obnoxious. But I see it more like if you're reading maybe Raw Story or something like that, and they have their public comments. And sometimes those public comments are just beyond.
Mm-hmm. That's really actually where I've seen a lot of it too. Like someone will post something and I'll go to the comments, and I did a long time ago didn't realize that these are just random people. I finally figured that out, and it's like, oh my gosh, who are these people?
Mm-hmm.
What are you? That's just awful. And so now I don't do that, and sometimes I do just to see what the conversations are going on out there, to see really where if people are biased one way or the other, or if people think like I do, if I'm always wrong. But one thing I realize is that I think to some extent that people and I'm saying this because I realize having conversations with some of the people on my page personally, and they're people like friends of friends who have become friends, and they will say things, and I have to stop for a minute and think, are they saying something that they intend to say? Are they saying something that's being misinterpreted? And sometimes people will private message me and tell me their stories, I personally am like, wow, I can't believe you'd share that story with me. But then part of me says, well, I understand where some of these emotions are coming from. And so then I do wonder too if, to some extent, are they using it for therapy? Are we using it to therapy like, oh my gosh, I've never been able to say anything in my family life?
People definitely
Just
do
cathartic.
it. Yeah, I know people who came out on social media, let alone like having a sit-down, quiet moment with their friends and family. So it's just interesting that you have this ability to reach so many people by clicking post.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people also want a response, whether it's good or bad. It could be for the attention. But I personally don't know a single person who I disagreed with online. And I'm the type of person to respect everybody's opinions as long as there's like some type of boundary where you don't completely disrespect another person. Mm-hmm. But nobody's ever changed my mind about how I feel about a certain subject online. Mm-hmm. Like it's the same thing effect as a bumper sticker. Cool. Mm-hmm. Let's move on. You know? So
well, I do find that sometimes someone will say something and I haven't thought about it that way before. And there are times that I've changed my mind about things. I couldn't tell you specifically, but I remember saying, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And kind of modify.
Intelligence. It's like.
Right. Well, but that is true. And I would have to say that only occurs when somebody gives you their side of the issue by being kind, by being compassionate, not by attacking or being smug or looking down to you, and so usually, and especially like if there's a meme that somebody posts and it's really derogatory, instantly I don't think, wow, you made your point. I'm thinking you're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's what I think. You're an idiot, and if that's how you make your point is by. And okay, some of them are funny, but some of them are so downright derogatory. You're just why would you think that wouldn't get me upset? And then it's like, okay, move past it because it doesn't really matter. You know what that person is, but that's what they're putting out to everybody, you know. And there are a lot of people that it doesn't take much to get their anger, built up, and so there's this massive anger, and sometimes they just want to, say at the bottom of it, you might want to consider going to therapy to deal with this anger.
You seem really angry about that.
I think if you actually said that, a person would just pop off.
Oh my gosh, they would probably come over and kill me. And like, okay, I'm not going to say that, but I really like to say it. And then sometimes I'll say something, and I will take posts down because if I get even one comment where people misinterpret what I said, I'm like, okay, clearly I'm not
wordsmith.
I'm not a wordsmith. I'm not communicating effectively because if that's what you got from what I said. And then I wonder too, well, when other people post it, are they being taken too literally and making people mad when it's not really, the nature of what they're doing?
Well, there are a couple of things you could do besides taking it down. One is to edit the post. And to edit it to clarify what you meant if you see that people are misinterpreting it.
Yeah.
But again, if somebody starts attacking people, and I just delete them.
Yeah. And I do that. I think
people is like some of the greatest gift that Facebook has created because sometimes you can't unfriend someone for, political reasons, but you unfollowing them, they'll never know, and you never have to put up with their BS ever again, and it's a gift. So I suggest that to everyone.
Well, that's true, but then you miss some of the things that you do like about them.
But there's a few people who just consistently are awful and negative, or
that's true.
Use it as an outlet, like, hey, I went to Coney today. That's it. To, oh my gosh, there was a horribly rude person in traffic, da-da-da. Like,
well, I'm sorry you don't enjoy my tweets.
I probably would. You should probably get a Twitter.
I know, they'd probably be hilarious.
I can't remember the last time I commented on anything online. It's probably been like a year.
Good for you.
I stopped on Facebook because I was like, who cares? I was like,
but now
I don't have anything to say that should be.
So, like, if you're being attacked and people start liking that other person's comment or start liking your comment, all of a sudden you have this entourage that you don't even know backing you up. It's just a really strange feeling that this digital virtual world is becoming way too real. You know?
What I like to do is when I found myself in the middle of a conversation with a group of people I absolutely don't know, and it's a pleasant conversation, I almost always end by saying, hey, thank you very much for having that conversation. And, you know, I feel like it was a very respectful conversation, because I don't mind someone's point of view. I like to be able to discuss it honestly, and because I do feel like, I mean, there was someone who I thought their point of view was so different than mine. So different. And then we started talking, and the more we talked, the more I realized, oh my gosh, we really almost think this exactly the same way. And it was sort of a surprise to me because of how upset they always were on Facebook. And it's like, if you didn't sound so angry on Facebook, what you're saying would actually make sense to a lot of people. So I thought, you know, that's where the anger is, like respect. It's always respect, isn't it? It always comes back to that. But I want to ask you this: do you feel like there's more anger in your generation, our generation? Is it just across the board? Do you think that we're more angry?
I think your generation's more angry, but ours gets offended more easily. Those are two different emotions.
Yeah.
Really.
I don't know. I think both baby boomers and millennials are shits. So.
Do you like people?
Yeah.
You do like people.
Does he?
No, I know, right? Yeah. You would think not, because he says that. Everybody's shitty, but
I think millennials are so aware of what's going on, and almost to a fault too, because they watch the news and they believe the first cast they see, or you know, the first outlets that come up with breaking news. It's that right to free speech mixed in with it. Everyone needs to share their opinion. Everybody becomes an expert, and quite frankly, no one's hearing each other, just themselves after a certain point. So, but with your generation on Facebook, at least the people who I'm friends with, and that's a very small pool, so I must admit that, it's just they're more disappointed on the upcoming generation, or, you know, what is the world looking like today? I'm like, well, this is how, like, you created the world too. Like, you're part of the world also.
Yeah. Millennials haven't done anything in the world yet, so.
Yeah, we're very into this whole adult thing.
You are new to it. This is a little bit off subject, but I don't really feel like you're to blame for everything. And every now and then you'll
Thank you for that.
You know.
Not to blame for anything, really.
No, and you know,
I mean, not that we won't be to blame for things.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and now we'll become a parent on social media. See, like,
right, exactly. But I mean, it's a soft subject. But I do feel like
you said too young to what?
To adult? Like we're too young to be an adult yet. I mean, just like coming out into the world. I mean, I think I know, but I'm still kind of unsure how a mortgage works. Like, we're at that point, and I'm in the process of one too. It just, when you have the world and when you have everything that is being said, you know, back to online, that not necessarily that the blame shouldn't be there, but there should be a better direction for everything. So it's just a really strange, you know, kind of norm now that if something happens, then, you know, at least I've seen millennials were the go-to, or how will millennials vote, you know, and we're a big subject. And I don't feel like we're a big subject yet. We haven't proven ourselves yet. So.
I don't remember anybody ever asking.
The whole Bernie campaign is funded, driven mostly by millennials.
Oh, that was nuts on social media too.
So done that, which results in a lot of independent people running for Senate and stuff.
I don't remember our generation saying how will the baby boomers vote, or whatever we're considered. What are we considered?
You're a baby boomer.
Are we?
I'm not.
You're tail end of a baby boomer.
Tail end of a baby boomer? Is
I
that?
I can't remember. Those terms.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it was like I was either too early or too late.
Right, exactly. So, but anyway, I don't ever remember somebody saying, well, how will this generation vote when we were young? I don't remember anyone even caring how I voted. It was like, okay, you all are going to vote, but it wasn't like as big of a deal as like how important it is for you guys to be voting. And well, this is way not about anger. So, but
it's just a crazy thing. In school I spent 6 months just researching our generation, which, let me tell you, we're a fun bunch. But it's interesting to think that how, because we grew up with technology, we have a totally different view on everything. So now when we have extreme points of view or just a feeling, then it's going back to posting, and that includes anger, that includes any extreme emotion, and that's how the fire gets fueled. That's how, certain subjects end up on the news and others don't. So
and part of it too was before social media. When you felt strongly about something, you would talk to your friends and family about it. And so instead of that whole part of it's been taken out, because then they just text or tweet or post on Facebook. And so suddenly there's no real interaction and discussion with people that you trust,
right,
before it's out there. And then you kind of look at how do people jump on the bandwagon.
Oh yeah, it's collective thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just think, I want to touch on one thing there, but it's like I have two things to say about what you said. One is, but that's even how the news is, that you pick your news to help you get your anger riled up. It's like, am I going to listen to Fox or MSNBC, and how angry are they, and the people that they bring on, and then that gets you going, and you're like, yeah. And not me, because I turn the news on and just go, I can't deal with you people being so angry. I'm just going to turn it right back off and be oblivious to what's going on in the world.
I can't do that.
But then the other thing is,
I like to watch BBC News because then I can find out what happens in the world without
the drama. Yeah, it'd be nice to have our news.
Because I just want the news. I want to know what's going on in the world, and not for just to be what's going on locally, or it's too selective here.
You can always find a statistic for your argument. Always.
Oh my gosh.
So that goes back to the anger. I could have a totally separate view of the person, and they can have a very well put together opinion, and I can have a very well put together opinion, and we can both post it, and it can go viral or whatever. But what happens is we're using statistics that may or may not be real, but are helping our argument either way.
Yes.
So it's.
I know. I googled. I won't tell you what argument it was, but I went and googled it, and there was all these things, and I read each one of them, and this one supported my side, this one supported the other side, this one supported both our sides, and I just thought, oh my gosh. So when people were posting, it's like, you might think this and that, but read this, and it's like, wow, that's true. So I was like, okay, I want to get really informed, and I thought, I don't even know what's truth anymore, because there are all these statistics.
The fine print.
And sometimes they do leave stuff out, and it's like, oh wow, that conveniently was left out of your argument. So it really, now you have all these millions of people going, oh look, that's fact. It's like, it's not fact.
The other thing is, whenever somebody posts something that's just really bizarre, my first thing is to go to Snopes.com to see is it true or not, because it seems like 60% of the time the thing that somebody's most worked up about, it has, it's like a repost of something from 3 years ago that had already been determined to be false.
If you look at the dates, BuzzFeed just had an article. They're more fun. That's where people get the first lick of news and then go to other more supported sites, I guess. But they had one article that, guess which news was real, which was false this week. And they had 8 titles. And it was so interesting because some of them were just really shocking and they were true, and others were just started off as somewhat the truth and just got snowballed into a completely different story that was made for people who were either, who were either racist or one side of government and not the other. I mean, it was
Why are you elbowing me after that?
Just because you hadn't talked in a while. It's like, you're not saying anything. Where are you?
Yeah,
I didn't really have anything to add.
Does anyone agree with us for once?
Well, there's no differing opinion to be had, really. It's just...
No,
I can give you some ideas, but I'm not going to feel that fire.
I do want to, it's interesting, when you were talking about people going on social media instead of talking to your friends about whatever.
That's interesting, yeah.
What I then thought was, maybe that way you're not fighting with your friends and family, because you're talking to nobody land, because really, isn't that really what it is? You're putting out these thoughts and regurgitating what's in your brain, and then you have time to think. I don't think anybody reads my posts anyway, so
Sometimes I like the thing about falling off the horse. It was interesting to see that most of my friends did actually read the post, and then somebody that I don't really communicate with didn't. She read the first part, and then she said, "Oh, I hope you get well soon."
That is so funny. I thought about writing a post like that, but because you do wonder, and then sometimes you'll realize you'll post something that obviously nobody has an opinion on, and they will actually comment on that. And so sometimes I think maybe they don't want to comment, maybe they don't want to have an opinion. And I know some people are much more aware of not putting their thoughts on social media. They don't want that out there.
Sometimes when it's something that's super obnoxious, I may just that's happened, and it's something that's really happened. I just don't have any words, and rather than just ignore it and act like I didn't see it, I just say I have no words. I just don't know what to say.
You want to get a job later in life, like that's all I'm going to say.
That's true. Yeah.
But Facebook did something really interesting semi-recently. They had the opportunity to react in something more than just a like. Mm-hmm. So you can, anger, happy, wow, sad. Right. And for some posts, when mass shootings happened before, liking the post seemed almost awkward. Mm-hmm. But now that you can react as in sad or anger, it has a whole new level to how people are gauging feelings about a certain subject. Mm-hmm. A certain article can have happy through sad through wow through like, and it could be something so controversial. Things like Humans of New York, which is a photojournalist site. And when people tell their stories, you can always tell who are the people that identify with the story and who are the people who have no sympathy, no reaction, don't know what to say or do next, so they click the anger or So you can definitely tell people's personality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I haven't really been using those. I guess maybe now that you pointed that out,
it's a good time.
Yeah, because there was something on the Orlando. I thought, I really don't want to like that, and I thought I haven't really figured out the reaction thing.
All you can do is hover over the like.
No, I mean to actually take in what each one of them means, that sort of thing. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I'm on autopilot. Okay. I guess I should really take some time to look at these, and so that I am appropriately responding to things.
Sometimes I would just share because I didn't want to like it, because I didn't like what it said. I would share it because I wanted to share the information, but I certainly don't want to like this.
Yeah.
Look at,
Right. But I don't think I finished my thought.
I'm sorry.
So, no, before. About the anger, that maybe if you're putting your anger out into no man's land, or, your crazy thoughts about what you're thinking about something, that way you're not maybe having arguments with your family or your friends who clearly don't have the same points of view. Because I remember growing up, and my mom and one of her really close family friends, they would come over and they would have these battles about politics, and I remember being up in my room thinking, are they going to be friends after that?
No, see, that's how some people bond. You yell at each other.
Well, they did.
Until you're just yelled out. Nobody gained any ground. It doesn't doesn't matter if the movie was good or bad at this point. It was like, no,
that's really how it was.
My friends yelled a lot about nothing.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It's only when there's a lot of emotion.
Accused of sounding like a Seinfeld episode regularly. Have you seen these guys just talking? It's like, it's straight up a Seinfeld episode. It's like,
I feel like I know.
But you guys could do that. I mean, I don't know with my friends the things that we don't agree on, if we could really yell it out like that and remain friends.
We don't really.
I mean, not because they're not. I mean, I don't know.
There has to be a certain level of being open-minded to be able to have a discussion and not being mad at the end because your friend doesn't agree.
I think there might also, maybe not, maybe it's just my friends, but it's just like dudes.
Yeah.
Like they'll let it go at the end. It's like,
that could
no, you're an idiot, and just like swear at each other, and then we
Although I do
and then
know
we
some
hug
guys
and
that
then walk
are
away.
I do know some guys that aren't like that at all. You guys are pretty rare.
We just call each other names for no reason. It's like, shut up, idiot, and move on.
The way you
have that
communicate though is not the norm, so you're a little bit of an outlier.
Yeah, I mean, I do not go on Facebook except to use messages because some people don't want to use up their. One of my friends has texts still, so we message instead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Still a thing.
Texting?
No, just having
limited text.
Yeah, dating people.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do not look at anything on Facebook ever.
I know, it's so funny. If I don't even think to tag Parker in anything, even if it's about him, because he's not going to see it. And it's like, Parker, I posted something about you today.
Like, sometimes I'll see it and I'll be like, man, I'll look at it and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I look good. Because that's the only thoughts I have. That's the only thoughts I ever have whenever anything's posted about me. It's like, I look at the picture and I'm like, I look good. And then I move on. Because, let's be honest, I never don't look good. So
this is true.
Oh,
that's true.
Like even with this patchy stuff on my face.
The hair.
That hair was fantastic.
That hair that some people loved. So anyway, you want to get back to anger?
I don't have anything to say about it.
Conversation.
I see it. I move by. I don't care.
Well, and I guess for me,
doesn't faze me.
I've had conversations. We have to. Slow down the conversation. I move on to the conversation now, but the one thing that I do want to touch on is that I realized that there would be things people were fighting about, and people were so sided on their point of view, and then later I'd have a conversation with them and realize they weren't as strong about what they were saying, and what they were saying initially fueled so much anger, and I just thought you need to find a way to present your argument without.
Well, I think sometimes you're in an argument and, throughout the argument, you understand the other person's right, but you keep arguing because you...
Oh, I don't. If I decided...
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying me.
No,
I'm saying people.
Right.
Some people,
Okay, I see.
You just don't want to admit that they're wrong.
Yeah. Some people have to be
or
right.
it's even just like,
right.
Oh no, look at how wrong I was. If I admit I'm wrong, that would be really embarrassing. And just
it'd be really cool, though. I'd love to see somebody admit, especially when they've been so angry, and they go, "Oh my gosh, wow! I see what you're saying," and that's
the
great.
light bulb going off.
Yeah, and say, "I've just learned something from you. Thank you very much."
Actually, it seems like sometimes the thing that does the most good in that situation is to post a comparable analogy that is something that they can relate to. Because if they can't relate to it, it doesn't matter what you say. They still are, they have no reason to change their mind. But if you can come up with an analogy that is something that touches on them, then it's like, oh, I wouldn't like that if somebody did that to me.
Right, exactly. Well, I know that we're running long, but there's a couple things I want to say that I just feel are really important. One is that there is a need to be right, and I think our need to be right is sometimes what fuels the anger. It's like, but I'm right. It's like I'm going to get that last word in no matter what. And sometimes if you give up that need, then you actually find the way to work toward at least at least an understanding of each other and being compassionate about other people in what they're feeling, what they're going through. Because sometimes you can even see, like I've told you, that people sometimes share their stories with me, and now I see where you're coming from. I understand why you feel the way you feel, and it does put things a little more in perspective to me, and I then will look at their posts a little bit differently than I had, and I usually try to anyway. But I do feel like if somehow we could give up that need to be right, that we might find that as citizens, as humans, that we actually are closer in what we're thinking.
No, I'm just going to keep getting right.
Okay, anybody last comments before we...
Parker taking my drink made me angry.
I am upset that nobody commented on my Benicio del Toro impression at the beginning.
Well, we all noticed it.
Well, I just want to say, it was
Are you not that Benicio del Toro?
That is how you say his name, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody will comment and let us know.
Yeah.
So.
From the usual suspects. She's like, Harry Key, Captain What?
Well, thank you very much for having this conversation. I'm obsessed with the anger issue because I really would like to bring people together. So hopefully we've helped somebody out there understand that, you know, chatting.
I didn't learn
with each other, you never learn anything. He's perfect, so he doesn't need to learn anything. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us.